Hey there, I'm Rye Myers, your Broadway and Entertainment BFF, and you're watching Live with Rye. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey, before we begin, I have a huge favor to ask of you. If you're joining on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss an episode of Live with Rye, and you get notified every time I go live, every time I post new content. You don't want to miss it, so hit that subscribe button and make sure you also hit the bell notification so you get the notification sent to your phone as well. Also, I love being able to bring you some of the most exciting interviews with people in the entertainment, pop culture, and Broadway worlds, but I can't do it without your help, and running this platform takes an army, and that army literally is me. So if you are so inclined, I'd love if you'd consider donating. Go to ridethenewsguy.com/donate, and you can make a donation. I believe the minimum amount is $5, but you can donate anything after that, or you can scan this fancy QR code as well if you are watching on a desktop or laptop, which will also take you to the website as well. Anything you're able to give would mean the world to me, and I truly cannot thank you enough. You'll also see ridethenewsguy.com/donate scrolling across the bottom of your screen throughout the broadcast. And with that, let's welcome my very special guest today, who is the author of this brand new book, A House Full of Windsor. As you can see, I have the Buckingham Palace behind me in the UK. I am so excited to talk with her. Please help me welcome Kristin Contino. Hey, Kristin.
It's so nice to be here.
It's so nice to have you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. I love your backdrop. It's so fun.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I thought I needed to change it up. You know, Central Park is a good backdrop, but when you're talking all things royal, it's got to be something more fun.
Totally.
I love this new book. I love the cover. Such a cool cover. What a neat idea. So tell me a little bit about it. Where did the idea come from to write a house full of Windsor?
So I was watching an episode of Hoarders one day, and it was, a rainy Saturday or whatever. And this couple, the woman was a hoarder, and the daughter was talking about how her life had really been impacted by her mom's hoarding, and the way she grew up, had changed how she saw her romantic relationships and her career and all of these things. And I thought, okay, that's super interesting to explore that in fiction. So I got the idea of having a mother and a daughter who were total opposites, and, they end up on a hoarding reality show, and throwing the royal thing in was natural for me, as a royal writer. And, I love just following the royal family. I always have since I was young. And I thought that added like a little more of a fun element to the story too. So I just kind of went with that and kind of let the plot reveal itself to me as I went. I just had this really, like a couple sentences in my head that I knew, what was going to happen. They would be on a show, but I didn't know a whole lot. So I just kind of ran with it, and it was a lot of fun to write.
Yeah, I bet it sounds like it was. And that was one of the things that you and I actually bonded over it and with, is our love for the royals and all things sort of British history. And I'm a royal buff, sort of like you. So this is incredible that you wrote that. And what a neat sort of concept as well to sort of, take it modern with the game show idea and also put in hoarders and mix that with the royals,
Thank you. Yeah, I have my Princess Diana shirt on. She has a shirt like this, although hers was a sweatshirt. So that's my little Diana shout out for the day, since I know you love her.
I do. And Kristin was kind enough to send me a cute little Diana sticker earlier this week. So shout out again to you, Kristin. Thank you for that. That was
welcome.
Diana is her and I have also bonded over our love for Diana. So is the book based on any events that have happened in the past with the royals, or is there any sort of crossover that we may have seen in that book that we've noticed over the last sort of 20 or 30 years, sort of in the royal family that you've put in the book?
So the book starts in present day, and we're seeing the character Sarah and then her mother, and they start, this reality show kind of journey, but it has flashbacks to the 1980s, to Charles and Diana's wedding, and then throughout kind of the 80s and 90s, and how Debbie, her relationship mirrors Charles and Diana's a bit. So we see, real life things, kind of like their lives are moving in the same way, but total separate lives. I mean, Charles and Diana get married at the same time as Debbie and Ellen. They have kids around the same time. They break up around the same time. So she feels this kinship to her, even though it's someone she's never met. And yeah, there's not really, I guess because the cover and also the title, I mean, it is like a royal themed book, but it's also at its heart more of a family drama, and there's some humor and fun in there, but it's not really about the royals per se, as it is, about a woman who is a bit obsessed with the royals, but it takes a look at, collecting and pop culture in that sense of how people can become obsessed and, think that they know people.
Yeah, that's that's great. I love that. Where before we begin, before we go on, I should say, where can we purchase the book? Where is it available? Are we able to get it at Barnes and Noble, Amazon? Where can we pick it up?
Yes, Amazon, Barnes and Noble online, Target.com, pretty much anywhere online where you would buy books. Actually, bookshop.org is a great place to buy books because they support local independent bookstores, which is really nice.
Oh, amazing. Okay, well, good to know. What did you learn about yourself during the writing process of this book? I know you've written another book prior to this one. What did you learn about yourself, though, this time around?
I think it has helped me probably become better at getting rid of stuff. Like even this weekend, we were going through some things to donate to Goodwill, and I feel like it's really easy to hold on to things that remind you of the past, even if it's just like some simple item where you think, oh, I'll wear this again, or maybe I'll use this again. And I've become a little more ruthless, I think, in that sense, in giving things away. Because, okay, I don't want to be a Debbie. Don't be a Debbie. No one wants to be a Debbie, although she does have an awesome collection.
Right. No, I totally agree. Well, what do you hope people will take away from reading this book, A House Full of Windsor?
So I hope people will take away that sense of, maybe not even letting go of physical objects, but letting go of things from the past that are just weighing you down. And I think that's something that everyone does, or you hold on to, these past resentments or memories or, things that have happened that have shaped you in a negative way. But sometimes, like Debbie has to learn throughout the process of not just getting rid of her stuff, but getting rid of all this resentment she had over the years and, the failed marriage. And once you let those things go, it can feel like such a weight is lifted. So I hope that's something that people can take.
That's great. I love that. So how did you get started on your love of all things royals? And what about the royals do you think makes us as Americans so enthralled and so obsessed with it?
Well, I think, to begin with, we don't have a royal family here. So that's number one, something that's different and interesting. So I think Americans are drawn to that in that sense. And, people in the 80s, 90s were growing up with seeing, Princess Diana as this icon, and she was, so beloved here. So, we grew up in, people in our age group as, watching her and, loving her, and then seeing Charles and, William, Harry, like everybody growing up through the years. And, I'm around the same age as William and Harry. So I feel like, we kind of went through some similar milestones too, like getting married or having kids in similar times. So you can relate to them in that sense, I think. And, my mom growing up, she would always read the magazines about Diana and had like a couple collector plates and things like that. Not a Debbie, but like 3 collector plates, not 100. But yeah, that was something that, I grew up with and, watching her. So that started, my interest. But I think it was really when Will and Kate got married in 2011 that, the interest, I think, exploded, especially in America with younger people, because there hadn't really been anyone like younger, fresh, interesting as much in the royal family until, they became so popular. And then since then, it's just, continually been everywhere.
Yeah, it's been like royal mania. And a lot of people, felt so connected to Kate, and they felt that she was, almost like a modern day Diana. And they loved seeing, William being able to, finally be able to marry. And it was, as you said, it was the first time in maybe close to 20 years that there was a big sort of royal celebration that was actually a prominent member of the royal family.
Yeah. I mean, the wedding was something that, most people hadn't, our age had never seen. Mm-hmm. And then there was Harry's wedding and Eugenie, right, and everybody. So there's going to be another big gap now where, no big weddings or anything like that. Although next year we have the Platinum Jubilee for the Queen, which will be super exciting.
Yes, it is. Next year is the Platinum Jubilee. And on that topic, have you gotten out to England and to sort of see the royal sites? And if so, what are some of your favorite royal sites? And if travel allows it, will you be out there for the Platinum Jubilee?
So definitely planning. I mean, fingers crossed to go. We'll see. As you know, the world is changing, it seems, by the week. So hopefully in June, everything will be good. So yeah, let's hope I can go. But in terms of favorite sites, I would say I love Kensington Palace. That yesterday I was doing a Facebook takeover for a book group, and the question was, where would be the first place you go in London? And I said Kensington Palace, because they have such great exhibitions there. And, there's, of course, the royal history, and you can tour the rooms. And that's, where Will and Kate and the children live, not, that you see those areas. But yeah, they have an amazing gift shop, too. And the gardens are beautiful. And it's just, a really great place to go. But right now, if anyone is lucky enough to be in the UK, you can see Princess Diana's wedding dress on display there, which I'm super jealous of. So,
is that a limited time? Her wedding dress display? Is her wedding dress display just for a limited time?
Yeah, it's for a limited time. So I think it's until January, if I recall.
Wow.
I wrote about it, but maybe next year, things might relax a little. It's so hard to say. I doubt I'll be able.
I know it's and it's interesting because Kensington Palace is on the top of my list to also get to. But they also just unveil the Diana statue as well, right? And that's for the public to view as well, correct?
Yeah, so that'll be super exciting to see when we can finally get there again. And if you're into Tudor history, Hampton Court Palace is amazing. Wow. You can see all the Henry VIII, and his wives. So that's great. Definitely recommend Buckingham Palace, of course, but it's only open a couple months a year. So it's hard, unless you're there in the late summer, it's not going to be open to the public. But Charles actually is saying that he wants to open it longer. And, when he becomes king, it may be open year round, giving the public more access, which I think is great because, A, it's great for tourists, but B, it's great for revenue for them. And, it seems like a no-brainer to me. So hopefully that will happen in the future.
For sure, because I'm sure I assume it's probably cost money to get into Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace. I'm sure there's a fee. So that would, and it gives people, and not only tourists, but also people in the UK, I think, too, who maybe want to experience that as well. Sort of the people's house, it's sort of. So that would be really cool. I would love to see that. I'm planning. Nothing is set in stone, but I'm hoping to get out to the UK next fall of 2022 and sort of doing like London, Scotland, and Ireland, but doing like everything sort of in the London area and doing all of that, going up through to Scotland and all through Ireland. But top of my list is to definitely do like Kensington Palace, to see oh my God, is it Balmoral, Windsor Castle?
Oh yeah, you have to go to Windsor.
Yeah, Windsor Castle that's open, and so all of that, which is really exciting. So
that's awesome. I love Scotland too. Scotland is amazing. I really want to go back. I spent 2 weeks there in 2019, and that was like the last big trip I had gone on because then COVID and. It was a wonderful trip, and I had never been to Scotland and had wanted to for years. And there's so many beautiful castles there, and
and 2 weeks is great. That's one of the things I've heard from people. They say, you really need to go and experience these things for 2 to 3 weeks to really.
Yeah, there's not enough time to see it all otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. So you and I bonded over our love of Princess Diana, as we mentioned earlier. What do you think she would be like if she was around today? This is a question that I will probably, I will wonder for the rest of time. And, she was taken from us tragically so early. But, if she was around today, what do you think she would be like? And do you think she'd be living here in America, or she might be splitting her time? I'm sure she'd be thrilled that she has grandkids. I know that was something she was looking forward to.
Yeah, I think she would have been the most fun grandmother. But I think she definitely would have been, continuing to make her mark on charities, and she, would go and champion charities that other people at the time weren't or didn't want to. And I think, in that sense, she would be making a huge impact in her charity work. And I wouldn't be surprised if, she was living in America, because she had talked about wanting to live in America, and that was a dream of hers. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if she was living in California or something like that right now.
I totally agree. And, I often wonder if this world would be a little bit kinder of a place if we had Diana in it still. I think it would be.
It's so sad to think about.
It is. And what just a beautiful woman that she was. And, I was so young at the time of her death, but also, throughout most of the 90s and stuff when I was born. And so I just wish I had gotten to, I was a little bit older, so I could have gotten to really sort of known her like, a lot of people did around then. And just, because so many people connected to her. I mean, even here in America, everyone was in love with her.
Yeah.
That's special. So I have to ask, and I know it might be hard, but who is your favorite royal, or one of your favorite royals of all time?
So I would say current would be the Queen, because obviously.
Right.
And past, I really am interested in Tudor history, and I think Queen Victoria is fascinating too. Anne Boleyn, I just find her so interesting. And I know some people are like, well, there's other wives out there, which obviously, Henry VIII had a ton of wives, but she stands out as one that, I think is the most notorious, but she is also super interesting to me. A little Anne Boleyn necklace that I got at the Tower of London. I should have worn that today.
That's so cool. Yeah,
a great gift shop too. I'm all about the royal gift shop. Like that.
Well, that's good to know. I love a good royal gift shop. So that is great. Yeah, and I just watched in one of the many sort of quarantine watches that I had, of TV shows back, a few months ago. One of them was The Tudors on Netflix.
So good.
I ran through that like it was like I couldn't get enough of it. It was so good. And
and I love Anne's portrayal. The actress who plays her is amazing in that.
Yes. And she's from, and I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she's from Game of Thrones, which was really cool as well. So it was like neat to see her in that.
Yeah, I need to rewatch The Tudors because it's so good. And Victoria is another great royal show. Have you watched Victoria?
No, I haven't.
You should. It's really good.
Okay, what is that on?
So I think it's on PBS.
Oh, I'll have to watch.
So I'm sure you can watch it on demand, but it should be hopefully a new season coming. I would say maybe next year. I don't think I've heard of a release date yet.
Because I love Downton Abbey. I know that's not really too royal based, but that's really UK based and based in London, in England history.
It's great.
I'm rewatching the series again, and it's just that's also when I go to London, I hope to see their castle, hopefully the Highbury.
It's really worth it. I mean, it's not super far, a little over an hour train.
Did you go?
Yeah, I went there in 2018, and so I was there for Harry and Meghan's wedding. So then I went to Highclere, the one weekend after, and it was very much worth the trip. It was one of the best days.
That's amazing. And did you get to go inside or?
Yeah, so you can go on tours inside, and they don't let you take pictures, which is unfortunate. But you can go, all over the grounds, the gardens. We took so many pictures. I was with my sister and our friend. We took like hundreds of pictures probably, but yeah, it was great.
That is absolutely amazing. Well, I love that. Well, what advice do you have for other authors who, want to write their own book or want to write a book about something that they're really passionate about? What would your advice be, considering you've now written two great books?
So I think finding the time to write when it's not your job can be difficult. And that's something that I, still struggle with. As we were talking offline, I have a day job. I'm a mom. So fitting in that time can be really difficult. And I think you just kind of have to force yourself, carve out the time to do it. If it's something you're passionate about, so it's so easy to just say, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it, I'll do it another time. I'll have more time when blah, blah, blah calms down. Like it's not going to calm down. So either like you do it or you don't. And, as an author, it's funny because a lot of my writer friends, you say, oh, I have a book coming out. And every one you meet will be like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to write a book. And you're like, really?
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, it's just finding the time to do it is one of the most important things, I think, and just being regimented about, putting that on your calendar like a job. Otherwise, it's so easy to just push it off and procrastinate. But I think, if it's something that's in your heart that you want to do, you'll find the time to do it. But it can take a while. I mean, it took me probably close to 10 years to write my first book because I was really young when I first started writing, and it was just kind of as a hobby. I would do it here and there, 1 hour here and there. I mean, I would go months without even touching it.
Wow.
So I think, if you're more regimented, obviously it's not going to take you 10 years to write a book. Yeah, like it just wasn't something that I had in my head as something that I think is even realistic to do. And then I lost my job. So I had a lot of time to work on it. So suddenly I didn't have the excuse of, oh, I'm busy. And now that I have a son, I'm like, what was I doing? Like, what? I had a lot of time and I didn't realize it. So yeah, like when you're younger, if you have the time, do it.
I love that. That's great advice. So I assume obviously you watch The Crown on Netflix then? So I'm sure you're looking forward to this next season. What did you think of this most recent past season? When they brought Diana into the picture, we saw a little bit more of Charles. And
so I admit I actually didn't finish the season yet because I was so like in the middle of getting ready for this book launch and working nonstop that I also feel like you have to be in the mood. I don't know if like you can relate to that, but I think this was heavy in a different sort of way. So for me, I really had to be in the mood to watch an episode. So I think I've only watched four episodes. So I need to finish it, but I did enjoy it so far. And I think Diana's portrayal, I mean, the actress has been doing a really good job. And it's, it's sad. Like, I think it just feels so heavy sometimes,
it does. Yeah. Emma Cronin, who played her, is just phenomenal. And it's a shame she's not, they're doing the whole cast change again. So she's not even coming back next season.
Oh, no. The episode I just watched the other day was, it's the one called The Favorite. And it was when the Queen was, they were trying to say, well, who's your favorite child? And she was having the meetings with all of them. And I thought that was a clever episode, just the way they structured it.
Oh, yeah. It's so interesting. We will never know, but it's so interesting to see, what it's like and how much of that really happened or is true or what that's like. I mean, it's very, very interesting. And it's terrible because when The Crown comes out, I try not to, but I run right through it because I love it so much. So I'll binge it and then it'll be over and then there's nothing
until the next one.
Right. Like, now I got to wait. But
that's what I did with all of the other seasons. But this one, it was just weird. I felt like I really had to be in the mood to watch it. So I haven't finished it yet, but I will.
Well, good. That's good. Maybe I'll add that to my Netflix queue to go back and rewatch from the beginning. Always early days ones were always good.
Those ones are amazing. And I think like the one episode that stood out to me was when Charles is going off to school to Gordonston, and that whole episode I just thought was just wonderful the way they did it, and it was really sad in different ways, and just showing like Philip's life too, and him going off to school there. So I thought that one was really well done.
Yeah, I totally agree. So where can we keep up with you? Where can we follow you? Get the book, etc.
So I'm on Instagram at Royally Kristin C. Oh, there we go. And Facebook is just Kristin Contino. Kristin Contino Writer, I think, is the URL on Facebook. And my website is KristinContino.com.
Great. Exciting. Well, everyone, if you are a fan of all things royal, go pick up A House of Windsor. There's also a cute little bookmark that I'm sure you could probably purchase as well, but it's got the nice Big Ben and talks a little bit about it as well. But if you are fans of anything royal and you want a good read, pick up The House of Windsor wherever books are sold. And if they don't have it, I guess you can also request it. But Kristin, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. This was great, and I'm really excited to, see what continues to happen with all things royal as we go forward.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you.